And I swear by the movies we watch for this pod, I'll be there. And I swear that for Paige, Mikey and Todd, I'll be there. I'll be there. Rom-coms are the worst. I wish I had known, but that can't stop me from each episode. 'Cause I swear, laters, baby.
Thank you for tuning into Romance in the Pod. You had us at hello. I'm Paige Wesley.
I'm Mikey Randolph.
And I'm Todd Schlosser. And this week, Mikey made us watch The Lake House. So, Mikey, you said last week when you said we were doing this movie that you hate this movie.
I do.
Why do you hate this movie?
I watched it in college with a female.
That's enough. Thank you. I understand now why you hate this movie. No, tell me the story. Tell me the story.
And I low-key like romantic comedies, and
Same. I love them.
Well, especially back then, I didn't it was very low-key. So I was like, oh, I want to watch this movie. And so we watched it, and it was terrible. I objectively think that this movie is terrible. I think it's a terrible film from top to bottom.
T to B, baby.
T to B, front to down.
I think the plot makes no sense at all. The two people never actually talk to each other except one random time in the middle and in the end. And then it's just so stupid that it goes beyond and then it becomes great again.
Yes, it does sort of pass the threshold of it's stupid. Like for the first half, you're like, this is dumb. And then you're like, holy shit, this is dumb. So you watched it again tonight. Had you seen it in between that night and this night?
No.
Okay, so do you have the same feelings? Did you develop an appreciation for it? What do you think now?
I think I like it better now. but I think it's because it's worse. I don't know. There's a lot of mixed feelings here.
It's worse.
I do like how in your mind the movie was better somehow, and then last time you watched it, like last night, you were like, no, this is terrible.
Yeah, I think it's worse than what I remembered, but also that makes it better because I think even from the beginning, you're like, this is so dumb.
Yeah. I felt that a lot while watching this. Paige, this is your first time seeing it, right?
Oh, God, yes. This was my first time seeing it. And first of all, I have so many questions about the rules of how this magic mailbox works.
Yeah, I mean, everyone wants to know why didn't he just stick his dick in the mailbox? Like, everybody wants to know that, right? Like, that was the first thing I thought.
Obviously.
There would be a glory hole in the back of that mailbox.
Like, how lonely and weird do you have to be to keep writing letters to a random person?
Here's the thing. That's not the part I struggle with. I am a person who enjoys the written word in a romantic context.
No. I'm not even talking about that page. I'm talking about the first 4 letters they send are so weird.
Yeah.
Yes, they are. I have problems with the structure. How did they cast Sandra Bullock and have her be unlikable? How do you do that? I don't even know how that happens.
That's like her superpower.
That is her superpower,
Yeah.
is being likable even in unlikable movies.
Did you see The Net?
I did. I was obsessed with The Net as a child. It was one of my favorite movies for a while
The
as a
Net
kid.
is objectively amazing. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Todd.
I don't know what. I, at one point in this movie, just started wishing that I could justify Speed as a rom-com.
No, this is what we should have got from Speed 2.
What, you don't like it when a giant boat crashes for 20 minutes of a movie?
No, I do not. Although, in all fairness, didn't like this movie very much. But I did cry multiple times during this movie.
I cried a lot.
Yeah,
I cried a lot.
What? Are you guys serious?
Yes, Mikey. I cried a lot.
I'm dead inside.
I cried so much, and I predicted the ending about halfway through the movie.
Same, yeah.
So then when they finally got to it, I was just crying because I had seen it coming, and it was her poor boyfriend.
Yes. So honestly, yes. He has done nothing wrong. He's a super nice guy. I guess the one thing he did wrong was not really paying attention to what she wants, what she likes, and what she needs. And I get that he's not a great boyfriend, but
they're not meant to be together.
Right.
But my problem is that multiple times in this movie, Sandra Bullock is yeah, I don't really like you, but I guess we should be together. And I'm like, girl, You need to say what you actually feel.
Yes. Well, then he has to know, right? Like, he has to know that she's not that into you.
I feel like he's oblivious.
Yeah, Morgan, she is just not that into you, dog.
She straight up makes out with a stranger at her birthday party.
That he planned. It was a surprise birthday party.
Which is fully cheating. Like, the movie glosses over it, but I'm like, that's cheating.
Yeah. No, it's cheating for her because she doesn't know him yet. He's not cheating because he's straight up already in love with her, but she doesn't know that yet because it hasn't been 2 years. So, like, he's not cheating because he's already devoted to Sandra Bullock.
Well, no, here's the thing. She's the one in a relationship, so, like, that's the thing.
Okay. Also, he knows the relationship doesn't work out. So is it cheating?
God damn it, Mikey. I mean, yes, technically.
He's like, they're going to not make it anyway, so any interference is fair game.
No. Because that's the central problem for me of this movie. Everyone's like, oh, time travel exists. Weird. And then just goes on with their fucking day. There is a mailbox where you can send letters back and forth from the past to the fucking future, and no one gives it the time of day. They are just like, oh, yeah, that makes sense.
This is my biggest plot hole. These two don't even research each other in this whole process.
Oh, when she goes to that architectural firm at the end, first of all, I was shocked that her boyfriend wasn't like an architect. I remember what happened last time.
Right. You're into builders.
When she, who isn't?
I
Winky
know.
Blinky. So she walks into that firm and is meeting with his brother. And I'm like, did you not realize who you were meeting with? An architect with the same last name?
Yeah.
Like, why does it take you seeing the photo for that? God damn it, this movie is so dumb.
But Paige, I was crying when his brother said, I'm sorry to inform you that he passed away 2 years ago in an accident. And then you realize, I mean, we already knew this because it does a lot of foreshadowing here, but she has 3 hours to get to the mailbox hoping that he's there to stop him from dying. Yeah, whatever.
Right.
No, because it was 2 years ago. She has literally forever to go back to the mailbox.
Doesn't. She
no,
does
she
not,
doesn't
Mikey.
because it's that day.
Yeah, it's that day.
That's right. He is just 2 years in the future, and he goes a day forward, and she goes a day forward.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So another thing that really bothered me about this is every time you see Keanu Reeves arrive at the lake house, he parks fully down the street and
Why
walks
does he
up
do
to it.
that? There's
Every
no
time!
He could drive right into the mailbox.
There's a parking spot!
He drove me nuts every
But
time.
do you remember when he dragged a tree to her apartment complex and made it grow?
I have so many fucking notes because they're building an apartment complex, and I'm like, you don't think they're gonna pull that tree out and cement over that shit, you psycho? What are you doing? Like, that tree's not gonna last. It shouldn't be there. But here's my biggest complaint. This movie is conservatively, when did this movie come out? 2006.
Yeah.
So this movie is 15 years old. They make Keanu Reeves look so badly. I don't know if it was the costume person or the makeup person or what, but that man is 15 years older and he looks amazing and he looks terrible in this movie.
Well, that's because he's sad in this movie.
Dude, don't tell me John Wick isn't sad. He's 0 for 2 on dogs at this point.
Oh,
But in this,
sad.
in this
Wait,
movie...
are you including his wife? Hang on. She was a beautiful lady.
Anyway, this movie, they're lighting him so harshly that you can see every blemish on his skin. It's insane. They gave Sandra Bullock this wild pink lipstick through most of this movie. I don't understand why anything in this movie happened.
Yeah.
Let's talk
Welcome
about it.
to one of my favorites.
Welcome to Romance in the Pod. Paige, maybe we should just get into this movie and talk about it, because shit, there's a lot to talk about here.
Let's get into it. So there's
So are y'all
credit-
saying you guys didn't like it?
You know what? Okay, I'll say this. I really liked what they were trying to do. I just don't feel like they did any of it.
I think I would rather see a movie just about pen pals that are in the same
Yeah.
timeline.
I think you're referring to You've Got Mail.
Well, that one has some problems too.
Yeah, but there are things about this that I like. The unrequited, well, yeah, we'll get into it. Let's just go through it.
So we open on credits over handwritten letters to, and in my notes, I just have Beatles knockoff music behind it. But then as I went through the movie, there's 4 different songs by Paul McCartney in this movie.
Yes.
So whoever made this movie has a raging hard-on for Paul McCartney.
They're the kind of person that says things like, I don't know, man. I think Wings was better than the Beatles.
Okay, I do like Wings. Not better than the Beatles, but this is not the time to have this conversation. Anyway.
You know how I feel about the Beatles, so I'm fine
I know,
not to talk about
and
it
you're
publicly.
wrong, and it's fine. Anyway.
I am right.
I'm checking out. I'm gonna have to go ahead and disengage from this.
In my notes, I have, because I was just taking notes as I was watching it for the first time, Sandra Bullock walks through an office building with her dog, but then I realized this is the house because it's an insane glass bird cage of a house on spindle legs over a lake. It's not a livable house.
I wouldn't want to live there.
No, I don't know why. It can't just be a normal house on a lake. Like a nice house.
Because they're architects, Paige.
Architects also build things that people actually live in.
He's living in his dad issues.
Well, yeah. He's in a glass case of emotion.
That's
literally.
what it is, yeah.
It's a metaphor. And his dad is kind of a dick.
His dad's a consummate asshole.
How dare you? How dare you talk about Von Trapp like that?
I will.
He is sort of a dick. Honestly, he's sort of a dick in the Von Trapps. Like, or in The Sound of Music.
The only thing that would have saved him in this movie for me is if he just like ripped down a Nazi flag and tore it apart with his bare hands, and I'd be like, yes, sir. So she drops a letter in the mailbox and drives away from the house just as we see Keanu Reeves drive up to the house. But what we don't realize is there's 2 years in between them. For some reason, the movie never explains. Apparently, time is a flat circle, and this house on spindles is at the center. I don't know.
I do sort of like that they never explain it. Like, they never have someone come in and explain what's going on.
Yeah, that's true. There's never a scientist that shows up and is like, actually, here's the thing. I have a real life reason. So, like, in Fun Facts, there's something that you will need to know about where this house is.
Oh, God.
That I think would be super interesting, but we should get to it in Fun Facts.
Do you think his Amazon packages show up 2 years in the future?
No.
Is it because Louis DeJoy is the Postmaster General in 2004 and it causes all mail to be delivered 2 years late? That is a nerd joke. You're welcome.
It is, but no, that's not it.
Oh, wait. I have to stop this podcast.
Okay.
We stop this podcast for an emergency Mikey interruption.
How many people got blood clots with the Johnson & Johnson vaccine in the whole United States?
6.
Guess how many of them I've gone on a date with? One is the answer.
Holy shit. Is that real?
That's real.
It's a numbers game, Mikey.
This is real. I'm going to die alone.
Well, I mean, here was my frustration.
There's no way that's real.
It might be. Because it is young women. It affects proportionately more than other people.
First off, is she all right?
She's okay.
Okay,
She's
good.
at the hospital. We only went on one date. Wasn't a thing. Remain Instagram friends. And all of a sudden, like, her story, and I was like, oh my God, she's one of those people.
6 people got blood clots from Johnson & Johnson. Literally millions of women have gotten blood clots from birth control. Nobody's doing shit about that.
Right.
Nobody cares.
Don't flick us off. We're on your side, Paige.
I'm flicking off society.
I'm team birth control.
More blood clots? That's
you know what the biggest blood clot of all is?
A baby.
A baby.
Anyway, I thought you guys would think that was funny.
And I did. Well, Mikey, when you told her she was 1 in a million, you weren't wrong.
I mean, I think she went with Johnson & Johnson because she's used to having one and done. She's just used to having only one shot. One opportunity.
Mom spaghetti.
That's so good. That's so good.
Mikey, you should message her on Instagram and be like, hey, you want your second shot with me?
No, I did message her on Instagram. I said, oh my God, are you okay? And she's like, yeah, I'm okay.
I've got a hot beef injection that can cure that right up. All right, so we cut to Sandra Bullock, who is going to work in a new hospital. We find out her name is Dr. Kate Forrester, and she's going to have 22 patients on her rounds. She ends up having to take a guy for an MRI because the hospital is like fucking busy.
Yeah.
It's like the one from ER. It might be the one from ER. Anyway, we cut to Keanu Reeves as a construction worker, which I don't know why for the first 20 minutes, we do not see a close-up of Keanu Reeves. It is all wide shots. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Oh my God. This is a sequel to Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
That's one of my fun facts because people are like, yeah, Keanu Reeves has been in like more time travel movies than almost anybody but Arnold Schwarzenegger.
That's amazing.
Anyway, I think she's the, like, I want to say community assistant or something at this construction site, like the secretary.
Yeah, Mona. I saw her as like the project manager.
Something.
But I don't know. Yeah, but her name's Mona. Yeah. She's super into Keanu.
Yes, and he is not into her. And I will say is pretty upfront about not being into it because she's just like, hey, I made spinach pie and the trailer's nice and toasty. No, I'm fine. Come inside. You're going to get sick. I don't get sick. I bought a house. Why would you buy that house? Like, it's clear that, like, he does not think of her that way.
I thought it was really funny that Mona was, like, chasing after him because he's, like, walking on the site. She's in heels. She's following him in, like, wet ground in heels because he bought a house. Just like these women are coming out of the woodwork now that Mikey has bought a house. I thought that was hilarious.
The main thing I thought about her watching this movie, and I just put it in my notes, is a gun for a gun rack, because that's who she reminded me of, was Lara Flynn Boyle in Wayne's World.
Yeah. But she was like, oh my God, your house has a tree in it? You really do want to put down roots.
Boo.
Nailed it. I stand by that joke.
That's okay. I like it.
Thank you, Mikey.
So we cut back to Sandra at the hospital. It's busy and confusing. We cut back to the lake house. Keanu Reeves checks the mail, and he has a letter that says, Dear new tenant, I hope you'll like living here as much as I did, and basically forward my mail, new addresses below.
Yeah.
Also, sorry about the paw prints in the box in the attic. They were there when I moved in. But he doesn't, like, see the paw prints or the box in the attic that she's talking about.
And we see him check for those.
Right.
Yeah.
Sandra Bullock goes home to her dog. The lights are flickering. She's making herself a list of, like, fix the light, get dog food, get human food. Because it implies that she has recently moved in.
Yeah.
From the lake house.
Well, we see her leave, don't we? At the very beginning, we see her move out of the lake house.
We see her kind of drive away and drop a letter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I just realized that it's even dumber that she doesn't live at the lake house.
No, she doesn't. Yeah, she moved away. At the very beginning, she leaves the lake house.
Yeah.
She has to go back to the lake house from her house.
That no one is living in.
Yeah.
Why didn't they just have her live there?
I don't know, Mikey.
I do like it better, like, if someone's moved in and she's just going to their mailbox and Keanu Reeves is, like, getting random mail from these people who are also living there.
I started to wonder, like, halfway through this movie, because we don't know if somebody's moved in or not. And what we find out much, much later in the movie is that he's retained ownership of the house.
Yeah.
And he's been renting it to her, which poses a whole extra set of problems of, like, why didn't you just show up? Until we find out later that she doesn't want to be contacted, whatever.
Right. But also, she plays this whole time like she does not know who he is. And
she's met him multiple times.
And he is her landlord, technically. Like, you would know who that is.
Wait, was he the landlord?
Yes! Mikey!
Yeah.
He owned the
he's
fucking
her
house.
landlord.
Yes!
Unless, like, a management company or something was handling it. But at the same time, I'm like, she knows it's his house. Like, once she finds out that it's his house, I do not know why she does not go to the management company and be like, can you put me in contact with this person? Like, this movie is asinine. Anyway, I had a thought of if you lived in that house and then just an old lady was just, not an old lady, Sandra Bullock just came and stole your mail all the time.
Shit. Oh my God. We're coming after you, Sandy B. You old lady. You heard it here first.
I didn't mean old lady. I just meant like a lady.
Paige got beef, Sandy B.
Yeah, it's like it's only a 14-year-old in that house. So Sandra Bullock comes up and she's like, "Who's that old woman stealing our mail?"
But yeah, just a strange woman stealing your mail all the time, and they're just like, "But I was working on Publishers Clearinghouse," like, you know, whatever it was that she was trying to send. So the other question I have is in this next scene, because Keanu starts working on the house and a dog runs up and just shows up. This is also a magical dog. This is basically as valid as the dog in Night Before Christmas. No one knows from whence it came.
Whence?
From whence it came.
Whence.
Or how it sometimes understands the time travel conundrum but no humans do.
I honestly think the dog is a shared hallucination between the two of them.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
I think it's a witch concocting this whole scenario.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that works too.
And that dog has like an amulet somewhere under its fur.
The boyfriend sees the dog.
Yeah, the boyfriend also sees the dog.
Okay.
But I do think the dog is like immortal, at least.
At least the dog is immortal. At least, Paige. Not at most. At least. We're starting at immortal. That's the starting point, Paige.
He could be like a time master or something.
Yeah, it's an immortal forest.
Listen,
being.
we're all thinking it. I'm going to say it. He's the doctor. Like, he is Doctor Who.
Not me. I think he's like a creature from another alternate dimension, like the fourth kind.
Yeah, or I was thinking more like the Ritual, where it's some sort of demigod that lives in the forest around the lake, or like Aslan in
Yeah.
Chronicles
No,
of Narnia.
that checks out. It is a demi-child of Cupid.
Yeah, I like where this is going. Yeah, absolutely.
It's Zeus personified as a dog to try and get freaky with both of them. So we can all agree that the dog is an immortal woodland creature.
Right, at least a demigod. At least. That's the starting point.
least.
Okay, yeah.
That's the basement. I would send my dog 2 years into the future if I could.
To somebody else.
Hey, Caesar Milan, I'm sending you my dog through the mailbox. Please train her. I'll be back in 2 years to collect her. How's your dog like in that backyard that she lives in now?
Bro, do you hear her whining at all since I've gotten this place?
No.
She is dead asleep in her bed right now.
Nice. Does she pay rent?
No, fucking freeloader.
Yeah, she's got to start hooking up couples at lake houses to make that extra change.
She doesn't even send my mail 5 years into the future to find me a woman.
5 years.
2 years. 1 year in the past? I don't know. There's so much time.
There is so much. Yeah. If there's one thing I've learned about history is that there's so much time.
And that, sorry, the dog as an immortal time lord is just wrecking my brain.
Yeah.
It makes about as much sense as anything else in this movie.
That's true. That's true.
Absolutely.
It would explain more, like the dog is what controls the mailbox.
It's like Blue's Clues.
Oh my God.
Here's the mail. It never fails from 2 years in the future. Hails when it comes. I want a well mail.
It's a clue.
It's a clue.
The love of my life is 2 years in the future.
So as he's working on the house, the ageless, immortal woodland creature in the shape of a dog comes up, steps in paint, and makes the paw prints that she talked about in the letter. But what doesn't make sense is when he's like, in the attic. What attic? This house is a glass birdcage. What attic are you talking about?
There is an attic.
But where is it?
It's in a different house that they shot that one scene in.
House.
Because we see the top of the house because that's the thing that comes apart when Keanu and his brother are talking about it, right? So yeah, there fully is no attic here.
Also, can we talk about what it would be like to have a full-ass tree in the middle of your house? Bugs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Over open water.
Yeah, open water. In fall, are you just having to rake your whole house?
You're just like raking your living room. Like, what are we doing in this ridiculous house? Christopher Plummer?
This movie is so fucking stupid.
You know what lives in trees? Immortal Time Lord woodland creature.
The dog lives in the tree.
He's like, do you want to know how the world ends, or do you want to fall in love?
I like that those are your only two choices.
This is the worst choose-your-own-adventure book I've ever read.
What would the other choices be? Is like, do you want to know how to make the perfect mac and cheese, or do you want to know who's going to win World War III?
Perfect mac and cheese?
Holy shit. Yeah. Okay.
Fine, but you missed a chance to congratulate Zimbabwe. So we cut to Sandra Bullock, who's having lunch with her mom on an unseasonably warm Valentine's Day. And they're just sitting outside talking about her father who has passed away.
Yeah.
And as they're doing that, a horrible bus accident happens and a man is dead in the street.
I mean, he more or less gets Meet Joe Blacked.
Oh, God, I haven't seen that movie in forever.
I've never seen that movie.
Do you remember like in Speed with Keanu Reeves?
Yes.
It's like that, but he gets run over.
It's like that, but the bus abruptly stops going 50 miles an hour over his body. It's bad.
It is bad.
So she calls an ambulance. we cut back to Keanu in the past, which we don't know it's the past at the time, unless you are, couldn't figure it out.
Unless you're an immortal dog, Time Lord, woodland creature.
What is time? This whole time concept you have is pretty rough, if you ask me. Do you think Scruff McGruff, the crime dog of Chicago, is also an immortal dog being?
Do you mean Scruff McGruff, the pre-crime time dog?
The pre-cog crime dog?
Oh my God, it's Dog Morty, Minority Dog Port?
Dog Morty Port.
Dog Minority Report.
I want to point out that this is what the writer's room at Rick and Morty sounds like.
It's just us being like, immortal dog lord.
Dan Harmon, hire us.
Oh, that would be fun.
Please. So Keanu is breaking ground on some of the foundations of the houses in the community that he's building. He's building tract homes, basically.
Yeah, he's building townhomes, condos.
But they're not, because they're freestanding.
Yeah, but you would think, according to his family, that he is committing genocide.
Yeah.
Yet they're so mean to him about building houses?
Do you know how rich you have to be able to do what he is doing? Like, he has to be super successful to be doing what he is doing.
Yeah, clearly, because he has an entire development in the middle of metropolitan Chicago.
Yeah, like, I think they said it was like 48 homes.
45 homes, because they finished one and they have 44 to go.
Yeah, that's a shitload of houses. Like this, where I moved in, there are like 13 or 14 homes.
Or
Yeah.
as you call it in a romantic comedy, your life's low point.
Your life's
It's the most 1% thing I've ever seen. It's insane.
Well, yeah, a family of architects? Yes, that's the most 1% thing I've ever seen.
I'm sorry, you've been contracted to build a development. You're trash.
You loser.
When was the last time you went to Barcelona?
Yeah.
That is a quote.
I do like his response to that. It's just like, I don't know, last time I was there with you. I don't just like travel to Barcelona, you idiot.
It's too bad. If I could, I would. Barcelona is
Same.
beautiful.
Yeah, I hear wonderful things. I have not been, and I would like to go, but I don't have double architect money or whatever they're rolling
Same.
with.
The architecture is amazing there. So we cut back to Sandra Bullock at work.
In the future.
In the future.
Right, 2006, baby.
Yeah, her boss, who played like an undercover dirty cop on Law and Order for like 3 or 4 episodes in a row at one point.
Yes.
She's also on The Expanse as like the head of the UN, and she's in a lot of things.
Yeah, she's actually
awesome.
really great.
Yes. So she basically comes to Sandra Bullock and is like, hey, I heard about you watching a guy die today. On your day off, you should go like away from here.
Even though you're a doctor and you watch people die every day.
Well, I think that's what she was saying, because she has sort of just finished her residency, so she is now like able to practice without having someone looking over her shoulder the whole time.
Right.
And her boss is like trying to give her advice, like, hey, we deal with a lot of heavy shit here at a hospital where people die every day. So like when you have an odd chance to have a day off, go sort of reconnect with whatever makes you feel at peace or at home or whatever.
Stay home, catch up on Law and Order organized crime.
So good.
But she's right. I don't even deal with heavy stuff all that much, except for, my other podcast. But like I just took a trip basically by myself to just like places I wanted to go for like a week. And it was perfect. Like I was listening to her advice. I was like, exactly.
Hashtag self-care, baby.
Hashtag self-care. Hashtag garlic world. I went to Garlic World. So she decides that the place that she feels most like herself is the lake house. So she drives out there and just steals those people's mail. They're just like, Mom, the lady's here again.
The old lady is here again. Right,
the
Paige?
crone with the ambulance here again.
Man, Paige really coming at Sandy B today.
Yeah, I don't understand. Well, what is happening?
I have always found, she's not necessarily my type, but I've always found her attractive and very charming. Love Sandy B. I can't believe you have such hatred for her, Paige.
I don't hate her.
It's very clear that you hate her.
Agreed. It's very clear.
The dog demigod made me do it.
How could you hate on the star of Demolition Man?
I got to find out what they did with those 3 seashells.
We need to start an action movie podcast. I know we can. I know none of us have time. I know I need to sleep, and I'm already overextended as it is.
Same, girl.
Oh,
So she goes to the lake house, She checks the magical mailbox that time travels.
The mailbox does not time travel, guys. The mail within the mailbox time travels. The mailbox stays stationary.
It's some sort of portal between the two times.
You might say it's like a glory portal.
I would call it like a thin place where the veil between the times is the thinnest, or a more accurate description would be like a time eddy, a place where there is a dip in time that allows two different time periods to touch.
To coexist equally, yes.
Yes. What seems odd is that it doesn't exist anywhere else in the world.
That we know of.
That we know of. So we've just got like a mythical dog god creature.
At least a god creature.
At least an immortal dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the lowest level.
Yeah.
So she picks up a note from the mailbox and it just says, I got your note. I think there's been a misunderstanding. The house has been empty for several years. And since no one has lived here for years, you couldn't have been the last tenant, but I'm curious about the paw prints. So she writes back to him. Oh, he also implies that maybe she was thinking of a different cabin. And she's like, I know where I lived, fool. So she writes back and is like, nope, I lived there when I moved. Here's my new address. Please forward any mail if you got. Also, it's 2006. Your letter is dated 2004.
Which is so weird that they're signing the full date.
It is.
My thinking was that they were postmarked, but clearly no post goes through that mailbox.
Hey, Mr. Ghost Man. Oh.
Wow.
So he reads her letter and is like, what is she talking about? 2006. We cut to an architecture firm and they're addressing Christopher Plummer comes in. They're addressing him as Mr. Weiler. And for a hot second, I was like, is there way more time travel in this than I thought? Is that how old he is in 2006? And they're just bad at set dressing in 2004? Like, what's happening? But it turns out that it's Keanu's father and his brother as well. His brother meets him outside.
His father is not his brother. Those are two separate people.
Yeah, those are two separate people.
Right.
His brother meets him outside. His father comes outside and literally does not even say hi.
He does the whole shake off his hand at him. Like, yeah, I don't have time for you.
Building a neighborhood, you poor trash.
Houses for plebes to live in. How dare you?
And the fact that he hasn't seen him in 4 years or however long, it's been years though. I don't know how many years, but years. And he's just like, I don't have time for you. That's bonkers.
Bonkers. We also find out that he bought the family's lake house.
Yeah, we find out eventually that his dad made that for his mom when he was on the architectural come up, if you will.
Right. He and his brother kind of have a talk and he takes his brother with him to deliver her mail. So he's going to drop off letters at the address she gave him, but the apartments don't exist. They aren't built yet. They're going to be, but it's going to take them at least 18 months.
Yeah.
Yes. The Hill Valley apartments will not be built yet.
Marty, we got to take this god dog back to the future. I've been feeding letters to this mailbox. The Libyans.
You know time travel works off the fetch capacitor.
Damn it.
Oh.
So she notices, because he writes her back about it and is like, hey, your address ain't there. And she notices the date and she just says, well, if you are, she goes through her photos. I like that she has her photos organized by days. So she could be like, aha, this is tomorrow in your time.
Yeah, she rifles through them like it's a manila folder and then finds one from the next day.
Right. And she basically says, if this is true, if you're in the time that you say you are, you're going to need this scarf and there's going to be a flu that goes through. So it's going to snow and you're going to get a flu. And he's like, that's ridiculous. But then it does.
Okay, so I have to stop here. Once you see the scarf go through this portal, I was like, oh, you could just put anything in there.
Right. I don't know why he doesn't put the book in there.
Okay, fully same, but also Why doesn't he put his dick in there? Like, I said that when I was
the
watching
last
it.
thing you need is your dick to be disconnected to you and float through time.
It would still be connected. No, it would still be connected.
No, this is a detachable penis situation. This is like Mannequin, where if she turns back into a mannequin, it's just going to
exactly
slice
like
your
that.
dick off.
No,
You can't
exactly like that.
thrust your dick through the
No.
fabric of space
Because
and time.
also the dick would only be pointed in to the mailbox, and she would only see the back of it with like cut off and bloody.
No, listen, all you do, cut a hole in the back of the mailbox, slide it through, put the flag up, and she puts her hand in. Why is this hard for people to understand?
Because that could ruin the time portal stuff.
Yeah, then John Connor will never be born.
Yeah.
Natalie didn't like this theory last night when I was shouting at her either.
No.
Plus, that mailbox is very tall. He's going to have to get apple boxes.
Okay, but I really just wanted the Sullivans from next door to see Keanu Reeves fully like decked out with a scarf on and jacket, pants like down to his knees, dick in mailbox.
He's a brilliant architect, but he's always fucking that damn mailbox.
I honestly think they could have done it.
I can see why they didn't.
I just want to see a movie tackle issues that I would have.
Here's my question. If you move that mailbox, does it still work?
Something else would do it because the dog is what is controlling the time.
That's fair. Okay. The dog who is immortal, at
least.
least. Yeah.
Yeah.
At least. Until he encounters the other dogs in the encampment and turns into a thing.
Dog! Oh, sorry. I thought he had to kill the other dog in our spin-off series, Doglander.
Doglander? There can be only dog!
There can bark only one!
There can be only one alpha.
Guys, I'm pitching a Homeward Bound spin-off called
It's
Alpha.
just Highlander with dogs?
Yes.
Oh, God. Okay. So they send each other a couple notes back and forth because now they've determined that the mailbox is capable of sending letters through time. They watch as the flag on the mailbox goes up and down, independent of anyone touching it.
I do like, okay, so the first time Keanu Reeves sees it, he's like walking, he just put a letter in the mailbox, and he's walking away from it, and he turns back from like the walkway from the parking lot to the house, and he sees it, and he like fully like stops and does a double take. I was like, nice. That's some quality acting from Keanu Reeves over there.
Okay, Keanu, we want you to act like this mailbox's flag just went up on its own, and you just got a letter from 2 years in the future.
I mean,
I know Kung Fu.
I like that Mikey set up that joke and then like the punchline was a visual gag. That honestly worked. Like it crushed. I loved it, but like no one else can see it
because dead air is just as effective as the acting that went into that scene.
That physical gag, I felt like I could hear it, but the sound that physical gag would make is just Socrates. Like that's what it is.
Yes, exactly.
So they watch as the mailbox transfers a bunch of letters. The thing goes up and down. Clearly, it's a magic time traveling mailbox and an immortal dog.
The voiceover comes where they're like having a conversation.
This movie is 80% voiceover.
This is an audiobook.
But also, she, at this point, she has witnessed the magic of the mailbox. And then she's just like, huh, okay. And then just gets back in her car.
Yeah,
like, that's not the most mind-blowing shit you have ever seen.
It drives me crazy that he's not like, hey, do me a favor, do a little bit of research, find out what stocks went through the roof in the past 2 years, and we'll split the money.
I'm going to need you to find this almanac and put this in the mailbox.
Tell me who wins the Super Bowl and World Series in 2005, 2006, and we'll split the money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But then he basically says, because the letters continue, which is one of my biggest frustrations with this movie, is it starts out where they have to be near the mailbox. And then as the movie goes, they're just talking to themselves and somehow the other one can hear it.
The first time that happens when he takes her on a walk, quote, end quote,
Right.
and they're having a conversation while she's walking through Chicago, I was like, this is ridiculous. Like,
Well, and he's like graffitied for her to see it at the end.
That part's sweet.
I like that reveal because it made sense. I don't like how they were having a conversation on this walk. And they do that a bunch. Like there's a shot, it's kind of a cool shot actually, where he's in one shot, she's in the other, and you see people walking, and as they walk through the middle, they disappear or they appear out of nowhere, and they're literally having a conversation on the same screen. That was cool, but that's not how letters work. Like, you can't
Right.
have a conversation like that in letters.
Right. She would have to just be standing by that mailbox all day and
Yeah.
they'd be like, hello, it's the hospital. People are dying. Are you standing by a magic time traveling mailbox that you won't tell anybody else about?
She's like, I just got to remember to send a letter to Keanu Reeves to tell me that 2 years in the future that to save this person. It'll be fine.
Holy shit, Mikey. First off, I do love that Sandra Bullock, like, that happens at the beginning of the movie. That guy dies at the beginning of the movie. And
Right.
even she doesn't give a shit about that guy until she realizes it's the love of her life.
Right.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's human nature. If someone gets hit by a bus, it's a person. If the love of your life gets hit by a bus, it's a person important to you.
Maybe it's because she deals with death every day, but like if I had a traumatic experience like that where I like tried to save someone who was hit by a bus, I would legit remember it. And I'd remember that dude's face.
Yeah, the fact that she doesn't recognize him is bonkers.
Well, I mean, he was hit by a bus.
There's that. He was hit by a bus. But then the other part is I'm like,
Let's be realistic.
His head was probably real messed up.
yeah, if you're talking to this person, this has recently happened to you, he's in the past. I don't know why she knows he's in the same city, why she wouldn't tell him, can you be at this place at this time and stop this guy from walking into traffic?
That could be a paradox. Because she obviously is okay with time travel and knows you can't mess with the past.
I mean, clearly she's willing to kind of mess with the past a little
But
bit.
that's only when she wants to fuck the past.
I mean, if Terminator's taught us anything, that's the only reason.
Yeah.
But
You're right. She does not care about the dude who gets hit.
She doesn't. She does not give a shit about him until it's Keanu Reeves.
yeah. But then she talks to the most cynical child ever, which I don't even know why this scene exists in this movie. My only assumption is that this movie is barely 90 minutes long and they just needed to pad time, I guess.
Oh, I love pad thai.
Um,
I'm so sorry.
they have another section where they're going back and forth. And I just have in my notes, why doesn't he knows where she is right now in his time in 2004.
Go to her.
Go to her, but also then he'd have to explain time travel and like,
Yeah.
he's not a knight. He didn't make her a bread ornament. I don't know how he would
Okay.
manage.
He could bring her. He could bring her back to the mailbox. Have her write a letter to herself.
Her own handwriting.
I actually sort of like that.
Yeah, because the second she does, it changes the future.
Yeah.
So then she would like send a letter like, I have no comfort to give you on what you must do right now. Just know that you can be stronger than you can ever be. You're the mother of the future, Sandra Bullock.
Now have sex with Kyle Reese. Oh, sorry. Keanu Reeves. Sorry, they have the same initials. Kyle Reese, Keanu Reeves. It's
Keanu
the same
Reeves.
thing. Yeah.
The tree in the lake house is the key to save the future.
Is this Avatar now?
No, that movie's too sappy.
That movie is just Fern Gully.
It is just Fern Gully. It's fancy Fern Gully. They, in this scene, I think they're attempting to make jokes about being married and not being married, whatever.
Yeah, but that would not play through a letter. Like, that would play
Not
if
at
you were
all.
having a conversation with somebody because you can, like, through inflection or whatever, make it obvious it's a joke.
Because it's letters, they literally deliver these jokes with no inflection.
Oh, you mean in the movie? Yeah, they like deadpan it. And you're
They
like, oh,
deadpan it.
is Sandra Bullock married to that guy?
Well,
Yeah.
to be honest, they're both not funny at all in this movie.
No, and like they're both funny people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he takes her on a walk through the city with a map that he puts in the mailbox, and then he does the graffiti so she can read it.
Thanks for taking a walk with me, Sandy B.
Sandy B.
Or whatever her name is in the movie.
Kate.
Kate, yeah.
Oh, and then she's like, I wish that you were here for this walk in person. And he's like, I do too. And I was like, how are they talking to each other?
I know. That shit made me so mad. Like, that's not how letters work. Stick to the canon of the story.
So she tells her mom about it, and her mom's like, he seems nice. And she's like, he's from the fucking past, time travel. And her mom is like, that's just a detail. Because no one in this movie is impressed with time travel. Literally ever.
I think maybe, like, we live in a world where everybody gets one of these types of experiences. So like her mom
You
is
don't
like,
know which
yeah.
mailbox it is. Check every mailbox you see.
Well, no, I mean, but her mom like even sort of talks about how she had a love of her life before her dad.
Right.
Right? That's in this scene. And she
Yeah.
says, like, I think one of the sweetest things I've ever heard an old lady say. And when she's like, why don't you stay with the love of your life? And she said, because I wanted to have this conversation with you.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, I cried a little bit. I'm so sorry. I'm getting teary-eyed thinking about it right now. Because she wanted kids.
Yeah.
And that love of her life didn't want kids. So she made that hard choice. It was so sad.
Or she got a letter from the future saying if
Exactly.
she married him, she would never.
Exactly.
I was going to say, or he put his dick in a mailbox, which sliced it off because we don't understand time travel and the hubris of man will be punished. Anyway.
I feel like if there's a dog who's immortal, at least he would forgive a dick in a mailbox.
I don't think so.
Only if you put peanut butter on it.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I can't be the only one who would glory hole this mailbox.
Yes,
I
yes,
think
you could.
you would. I think
Yeah.
you are. Even Mikey wouldn't glory hole the mailbox with Girth Brooks. You're
No.
out in the cold on this one.
Mikey would split that mailbox in half.
Let's just stop right here. He doesn't even need the mailbox. He could straight up just show up to her house and hook up with her.
I know.
Although she doesn't know him yet. Like that I understand why he doesn't do that. Because he would have to show up and he'd be like, I know you don't know me, but I know you. And there's
He
like,
does, Todd. He goes to her birthday party and straight up does.
He doesn't say that though. He's much smoother about it.
And he's her landlord while she's living at the lake house. Why doesn't he just roll the fuck up there one day and be like, it's me, your landlord. Also, I'm Keanu Reeves. And like,
So you want to smash, old lady.
yeah. I don't know. I think this movie is trying to imply that it had to happen this way so that she could prevent his death.
But she causes his death because he showed up there to see her.
I know, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy, but then she also she prevents his death too. And I don't know when Judgment Day is now.
We have to talk about this when we get there because I have so many thoughts about the very end of this movie. So we've got to, let's table it. Table it.
So he has dinner with his dad, or rather has a glass of wine with his dad, and his
Oh my
dad.
God. I wish this is not related to the podcast. But
I'm so glad you broke into it for this moment then.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but this is important to me. This is the thought that I'm having right now, and I need to share it. I wish my name was Blake. I wish I owned a lake house, and then I would call it the Blake House.
Honestly, Mikey, I apologize for starting to make fun of you for breaking in. That was a killer fucking joke.
I don't apologize. That's an insane thing to want.
Honestly, Paige, your type is frat boy. That's the kind of shit you are into.
Welcome to the Blake House.
Woo! Step on up, ladies. It's the Blake House.
I'm just glad it's not magicians anymore.
Oh, yeah, because they definitely wouldn't be able to make something disappear in a mailbox.
Why is this mailbox full of dead doves? I just think it's funny that you're like, step 1, buy a lake house. Step 2, legally change name.
To Blake. I thought you were going to say step 1, cut a hole in a mailbox.
Step 2,
put your junk in that mailbox. Step 3, make her open the box.
the mailbox. And that's the way you do it.
Hell yeah.
Okay, I know I say this every episode, but can we stop talking about fucking the mailbox? I wish you had a Polaroid and just send her unsolicited dick pics through time. That's all I'm saying.
This movie's so old. It's like 15 years old. So it would just be like a packet, like
Yeah.
Kodak developed photos that he had to like get developed and then leave in the mailbox.
With timestamps in the corner.
Why are the eyes red? So he's having wine with his dad.
Oh, is that where we are? Holy
Yes,
shit.
where
Okay,
we are.
sorry.
He's having wine with his dad. His dad's writing his memoirs.
His memoirs.
And he's super dismissive and is just like, oh, do you want to be in them? Like, it's ridiculous how callous he is about it.
I honestly feel like, and I'm not saying Keanu Reeves is not justified in saying this, but he was very much an absent father. Like, once they crossed over into the Alps, like, he was out of their lives, right? So like he clearly spent his life like building big buildings and stuff like that, becoming a famous architect and ignoring his family. So Keanu Reeves is like, is it going to involve us at all? Because like you weren't even in our lives. And then Christopher Plummer, who's an egotistical asshat, is like, yeah, I mean, do you want to be in it? Like, he's just being a dick back, which is unjustified. I feel like Keanu Reeves justified, Von Trapp not justified.
Yeah, you could say that he is the architect of a bad relationship.
Keanu Reeves should have been like, shut your Von Trapp!
And he tells him that he bought the lake house, and his dad's response is just, oh yeah, I did hear that some condo developer had snapped it up.
Yeah.
He's a dick. And I just have, again, why can no one in this movie deliver a joke? Because it's meant as a joke, and it's just no one.
Is it meant to? I just thought it was him being mean again.
Yeah, I didn't think it was meant to be a joke. I thought it was just being an ass.
Who knows? Anyway, they kind of end their conversation on a weird note where his dad is just kind of dismissive again.
Yeah.
We cut to Sandra Bullock at the hospital. She saves a person with defibrillators, but she's mentioning, and this is one of those scenes where they're talking and they can hear each other.
Yeah.
Where she mentions that she feels really isolated and that she misses the lake house and the trees. And so he drives one of the trees out to her apartment building and plants it there, and then we see it like there's no tree and then there is a tree there. It like pops up.
Existence.
I hated this just because they fully would have just bulldozed the shit out of that tree.
Absolutely.
But it is sort of sweet because it's like raining and she's like trying to get to cover, and then this tree comes up out of nowhere and like provides shelter for her. It's sweet, I get it, but that would have been destroyed the next morning when the developer got there and just said, hey, can we bulldoze this? Someone was planting a tree here because they're idiots.
Yeah, it's not in the plan. But also, at that point, if a tree like appeared for you after you told someone that you liked trees, don't you think, again, you'd be like, so magic exists? Is the dog an immortal being? Like,
At least.
At least.
But she doesn't tell anybody about it. She's just like, he's the love of my life. And you're just like, but also time travel. Like,
Okay, real talk, if I was walking on the street and a tree popped up out of nowhere, I would not react like, oh, thank God the rain's no longer hitting me. I'd be like, holy fucking shit, what is happening?
yes, that tree almost killed me. Yeah.
And well, Todd, that's because you would have fucked that mailbox, and she had a whole interaction with time travel. So she was prepared.
Oh, yeah. I don't understand why you think me fucking a time-traveling mailbox is not an interaction with time travel.
I don't know, but now I'm just picturing him shoving a tree through the mailbox. Like a ficus or something.
Yes. That's amazing.
Just seeing what he can get through there.
Also, what really bothers me about this scene is that tree would not have appeared. It would have always been there for her, right?
Yeah, right, because he did it in the past.
Yes, exactly. That really bothered me too.
Well, unless he split off into an alternate timeline.
I do think that they have created an alternate timeline in the multiverses.
Right.
Because this tree is not the only thing like that. The tree happens, and then her saving him at the end also is a different timeline because it creates a new reality for her.
It does, yeah.
In which she may have never gone to the mailbox.
Holy shit. At the end of this movie, does it undo itself so they never get together? Holy shit!
If he does not die in that first scene, she doesn't get depressed and take a day off and go to the lake house.
It's like Butterfly Effect, where they have the memories of the alternate timelines, but they are all together.
Also, she put the first piece of mail in before she left, right? It was on her way out.
That's true.
So,
That's true.
Okay,
That's
no,
true.
we didn't
Okay,
undo everything.
okay.
Good. Yeah, that was a close one, guys. Woo!
Praise Jesus for the dog. So,
Thank God this movie holds up.
At least praise Jesus for the dog.
Yeah, at least praise.
least. So we cut to him and his brother at the lake house, and he's telling his brother about it because his brother was not born yet when they made the lake house. And they're talking about how there should be a stairway or a deck down to the water, and he's made some adjustments so that the roof can open. But he basically says that their father designed this house for containment and control. It's about ownership. It's not about connection.
Yes. And I love that he was like, I want to do all these things to the house to give it that connection to the world around it. So you're not just looking out, you're interacting. And then he never does any of that.
He does. That's why he's got all the plans, because he does it for her. And then before he hands the keys off, he has made those improvements before she rents the house.
Oh, one of those things that he was talking about doing is like building a staircase down to the water, and that's never there. Yeah. So I was looking for that, and that doesn't happen. But you're right. He does improve.
Here's the thing. We don't know, because we never see the back of the house in 2006.
Because this movie made the odd decision to have her live in a different location.
Yeah.
Well, she lived there for about a year or something like that, and then she moved out.
But not during the time travel time.
Yeah, we never see her live there.
No, we only see her move out.
Which I think is a bizarre choice for this.
Same.
Wouldn't the conversations be good if they were like in the same room having them? You know, like they're both staring out the same window being like, oh, I wish you could have gone on that walk with me or whatever.
Yeah. Well, and then it makes sense for them to both be using the mailbox.
Yeah.
So his brother asks him, do you remember being here with Mom? And he kind of talks to him about his mom a little bit. And then his brother brings up Visionary Vanguard, which is the weirdest name. But it's essentially, we will find out later that it's an architectural firm they want to start together.
Yes.
For superheroes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Honestly, that's the architectural firm that built Stark Tower.
Yeah. And he tells him that he doesn't have time to do it. And he's like, why? You got like a girlfriend? And he's like, you're going to think I'm crazy. But this mailbox time travels. I don't know why Dad built it that way, but it does.
Wait, is his dad a Time Lord? Hang on.
No.
His dad built the house.
I don't think so.
I don't know, man. His dad beat the Nazis.
Yeah.
He's too young to have done that.
Mailbox, mailbox.
You send letters to the future.
Small and white, clean and bright. Envelopes.
I got that you were describing envelopes. Yes.
And not the dick that you put in there.
Okay, if I'm alone in this, I'll own that. But like people out there in the Facebook group, tell me if I'm alone. I feel like I'm just going to get shamed online for this. Because I'd have been like, hey, Sandy B, at 2:30 in the morning, just stick your hand in the mailbox.
High in the box, a little only go to... No.
There's a dig, there's a dig, there's a dick. Ooh, ooh.
Oh, my God.
I love that Mikey fully hates when we do this, and we commit to doing it every episode.
I get asked, they're like, what do you do when like Paige and Todd go on like musical? I was like, I just pull my phone out and check some stuff.
You are Dick Mail. Go. No cuts. Okay. So she sends him a message that's like, 2 years ago, I lost something at this train station. If you find it, can you put it in the mailbox? He gets there and he sees her at the station and finds the book and tries to give it back to her. He chases the train, but it pulls away. But at no point does he talk to her or connect with her.
Well, he doesn't notice it's her until she's like getting on the train, like as she walks by.
Right.
Because she was there with Morgan, like kissing Morgan
Right.
and saying goodbye to Morgan because they're dating. And she
Right.
gets on the train, forgets the book. He grabs the book and then looks over and sees it's her. So he starts
Right.
running after her. And she sort of looks and he fully sees her, but I don't think she registers it's him.
Right. And then he basically tells her, yes, I found it and I saw you there, but you don't remember me. And she's like, well, why don't we get together in the future? Call me at this time. And what we don't realize at the time is that he's already dead, and that's why he can't call her. But Morgan calls her.
Yeah.
They try to go out and eat at this fancy restaurant, but it's booked through October. And he reveals that there was no meeting. He's literally just trying to get her back.
Yeah. He's like, just leave that door open, girl.
Gotta leave the door open, girl. I'ma leave the door open.
I love that right now Mikey is like getting his phone out and just like starting to scroll through Instagram or some shit.
Silk Sonic, get with it. Anyway, so he then accuses her of making out with a random guy at a party.
Well, she did.
She did.
Yeah.
She fully did.
Yeah. Mona was at that party. Mona was sort of into Morgan. You could see it when she's there.
Yeah.
Morgan and Mona should be together at the end of this movie.
They should.
I need Morgan to have a happy ending because I feel like he gets shit on a little bit in this movie. I don't think he's a great guy for Sandra Bullock. I think he's a good guy. Like, he's not a bad dude. He's just not a good boyfriend, right?
Right. So we cut to the past where they're working on the development.
Oh, you know what would have been better is if like he went to that party and instead of them making out, he was just kind of like meeting her and like kind of checking it out. Didn't want to be weird because like she doesn't know him.
Right.
And then catches Morgan cheating and writes her about it in the future after they've already broken up.
I mean, I don't hate that.
Right? That'd be cool. I need to write my own time travel love story.
But just don't forget to put your dick in that box.
No. I'm gonna call it
dick in the mailbox.
I'm gonna call it Cock of Ages.
No.
Mikey, you don't know how close you are to some gold right there.
Anyway, so Jack, the immortal dog woodland creature, takes off and fully cock blocks Mona, who is trying to like...
Yeah, she's trying to make her move. She's trying to show her boots off because in that first scene, he's like, Mona, get boots. This is a work site. Get boots. So she's like putting her leg on his dashboard and she's like, look at my leg, my boots, not my leg, my boots. But she like pulls her like pant leg all the way up.
She's doing the old Amish flirt. Yeah.
Yeah. How you like these ankles, KR? And he's like, yeah, whatever. But when the dog runs off and they both run after him, Keanu Reeves runs into Morgan and they chat for a bit. But then Mona runs up and Morgan notices her boots because Morgan and Mona were meant to be together.
I think you're right.
Eminem, baby. Who doesn't love him?
Eminem. Who you going to trust?
They might have ended up together.
I need
That's true.
that.
They might.
Yeah.
We don't see them.
I need that. People who missed out on who they thought were the love of their life because of a time-traveling mailbox, they've got a story, and I want to write about it.
So Morgan ends up inviting them to a party that night. It's Kate's birthday.
Yeah.
And the reason he does that is because he finds out that...
He doesn't invite them. Keanu Reeves invites himself.
No. Morgan invites them. Because Keanu Reeves goes up to Morgan and Morgan's like moving in alcohol or whatever, like cases of beer. And he's like, hey, just so you don't think I'm an alcoholic, we're having a party for my girlfriend tonight. It's her birthday. Feel free to come. Bring Mona. Because he thinks Mona and Keanu Reeves are like an item. They're not, but I would understand why he would think that.
Right. So we cut back to 2006 and Kate is in a bar alone and her boss joins her. And we find out that her boss's youngest child, I think daughter, left for college to be pre-med.
Yeah, she went through the side door to like UCLA or some shit.
Yep.
Because she was moving to California.
Yeah. We cut back to Kate's party in 2004 and then back to 2006. We literally cut there for like a second and we see Keanu Reeves like behind the cake and then we cut back to the future. And her boss is like, why didn't you mention your birthday? Like we would have gotten a cake. What do you have in your life besides work? And she's like, well, I had a boyfriend. His name was Morgan, but I ended it. We cut back to the past, and the surprise party's in full swing. Morgan introduces her to Alex and is basically like, hey, he's going to help us find the lake house. And we cut to the future, and Sandra Bullock's like, no, I'm happy, and it was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And she kind of describes her long distance relationship with Alex and is as she's like describing distance and time.
Well,
it's the Castle Spice run. Anyway.
No. She explains that she has a pen pal that she can't go see. And then her boss, I think, assumes correctly, like, oh,
that
God,
he's in prison.
Are you writing someone who's in prison? Are you one of those ladies? And she's like, no. Time travel exists. And then her boss is just like, okay, cool.
I just have in my notes, rewrite, he is in prison. And that's why he couldn't come meet her. Anyway, so as she's describing this, she realizes, oh my God, she did meet him at her birthday party in 2004.
Yeah.
We cut back to 2004 and we watched them have this kind of conversation. He brings up the book that she left and he doesn't fully tell her what's up about the time travel because he knows that she won't understand.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't believe them.
No, of course not.
Yeah.
I mean, like, the only time is if somebody pulls up and is like, come with me if you want to live. Like, that's what it is. That's the equivalent.
Yeah.
And it's this real long scene of them just kind of getting to know each other.
Yeah.
And then he asks her to dance, and then they literally 8th grade slow dance for almost an entire song.
Yeah. And they keep doing that thing where they like move in real close for a kiss or whatever, but they don't.
Yeah.
And she's just like nuzzling into his neck and she's got her hands like on the back of it. Like it's just, it's way too intimate for someone you just met.
Yeah. And essentially they end up making out because she's like, oh, it was just a kiss. No, they make out.
Yeah. No, it was a smoosh. Yeah.
Yeah. Fully cheating. They get caught. He and Mona leave. And I assumed that this is what ended her relationship with Morgan initially.
No, Morgan's the kind of guy to make a bad thing work.
No, because Morgan's a bitch.
Yeah.
Well, I know Morgan tries to come back, but I think this is what initially ended things, maybe.
No, it doesn't.
Or no, because she says she ended. Yeah.
Yeah, and also Keanu Reeves goes to Morgan to give the keys to the lake house to him to give to Sandy B.
Yeah.
So I think they're still together until maybe right after she gets those keys, she's like, thanks for the house, I'm out. Bye.
Bye. Yeah.
I mean, he straight up doesn't even talk to her about making out with him.
I mean, he doesn't. And then she remembers and writes to him about it. And at one point, because jokes don't work in this movie, because everyone deadpans them and they're just written, she just says, "What did you have, clown for breakfast?" And I was like, that makes no damn sense. What are you saying?
I do love that, in my mind, the writer of this movie wrote that and was like, yeah. Apple S. I'm saving this. Nailed it. Perfect day.
Another script racked up here at the Blake House.
Mikey, I want you to buy a lake house and just name it that, even if it's not your name.
Oh my God.
Honestly, okay, bad pitch. If we ever start making money on this podcast, we get an office by the lake house and call it the Blake House.
Yeah. Okay.
I love this idea.
Blake House Productions.
Blake House Productions.
We're going to need a production company at some point. So Blake House Productions, that's what it is.
Where all of our best ideas come from 2 years in the past.
Put it in the mailbox. Todd, I'm going to need you to tape a note about this to your dick and put it in the mailbox.
I'm going to see if I can get Sandy B attached.
It'll just be Macy. Who's at least immortal.
At least.
Immortal Dog Productions would also be pretty fun. Anyway, he gets a phone call that his father essentially is passing away, and he's writing her, or I guess no, his father's had a heart attack, and he's writing her from the cafeteria of the hospital where she works, which is why we see the two of them in that same scene.
So I have some very bad news. Blake House Productions already exists.
No! What about Immortal Dog? Immortal Dog Media.
At least.
An at least production.
Blake House Productions is based out of London, by the way.
Oh, well.
Well, then they're not even American. We're fine.
No.
I'm so sad that Blake House Productions is already taken.
Not surprised.
God damn it. Immortal Dog Productions is also taken.
Okay, well, back to the drawing board. Try snakes with helmets.
We'll figure it out, guys. We'll fix it in post.
So he visits his father in the hospital and finds out they're going to do surgery tomorrow. But is his dad's hospital room is a full suite of rooms in this hospital.
He's a famous architect.
I know, but do those, I mean, I guess they must have. Beyonce gave birth at Cedars and she got the whole floor, but I feel like it would just look like a regular hospital, not a hotel with a hospital bed. I don't know.
I'm not architect famous rich. I don't know.
Not yet. Not until Blake House Productions takes off.
Honestly, if we ever get big enough to buy the name Blake House Productions, I think we should do it.
I think we'll have a better idea by then.
I don't think
That's
you
deep.
strike gold more than once.
Yeah.
Holy shit, I'm on a website where I can actually see the incorporation documents for Blake House. So I could tell you the name of the person who incorporated it.
Is his name Blake?
No, it's not. It's Simon. Fuck this dude. Although, in all fairness, Mikey,
That's what we're
your
trying to
name's
do.
not Blake.
Yeah, I was going to say, the only way we could justify this is if we somehow trick Blaine into doing this. And then it would kind of make sense.
Todd, Google Street View the address and see if he lives on a lake.
I will do. Hang on. Yeah, I'll do it right now.
I still think snakes with helmets has legs. I mean, snakes don't. But,
I like Houston. We have a possum.
Yes! Houston, we have a possum.
Productions. It is nowhere close to the lake.
Oh my gosh.
Holy shit. It is literally down the street from the Palace of Westminster and Big Ben.
Damn.
It is down the street from Buckingham Palace, St. James Park, the Thames. Like, this is some choice real estate.
So what you're saying is we'll never be able to afford the name.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. Mr. Simon at Blake House Productions is doing all right.
Yeah, they produce colonialism.
So he lets her know. I mean, after seeing his father, who basically is treating him like a gopher, even though he's in the hospital, he writes to her to tell her that his father built the lake house before he was famous, and it was a gift for his mother, but he became impossible to live with, and so she left, and then she got sick and died, and he didn't even go to her funeral because he said, quote, "She was dead to me the moment she stepped out of the house."
It's terrible.
It's terrible. He comes back to talk to his dad, who, it's almost like he gives him like a mini architecture quiz of like, what do you think of this proposal? And he's like, oh, it's nice, you know? And then he basically is like, you can't stop thinking about the light. You have to consider the light. And it's just this weird like lecture.
I don't know. Like, Keanu Reeves is the oldest son.
Right.
And I feel like his dad expected him to like follow in his footsteps. And the younger brother is doing that to some extent, but is clearly not living up to the dad's expectations, because I don't think anyone would, because the dad's just like not a good guy and like would never allow them to do that. And they even sort of talk about that a little bit when they're in the scene together on the roof of the Blake house, if you will. But I sort of liked that scene because it was like his dad acknowledging that he's the superior architect to him and his brother.
Right.
And like being mad at him for like, why didn't you do what we all knew you were capable of doing and following my footsteps? And him being like, it's not what I wanted. Like, that's not what I want. But they're having that conversation. Like, that's the emotional weight of the conversation. But they're talking about the light in Barcelona. Like, they're not saying those words. But I feel like that comes through because they're pretty good actors, and it comes through there.
Don't give this movie credit.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, I liked some scenes in it, and I have some dad stuff going on in my life, so like when like the dads died, it was over for me. I was crying like the worst.
Oh my God. But he's like the worst dad ever.
I know.
Yeah, but
Keanu Reeves would have pulled the plug if he could have.
if your dad died in a horrible dick mailbox accident, you'd be sad too.
Yeah.
Too dark? Okay, cool.
No. I mean, the worst part about those kind of things is when you get reminded of his death on the anniversary 2 years later when the dick shows up.
Oh my God. It's your dad's dick in a mailbox.
Oh my God.
I just want to point out that
they have to bury it in a smaller coffin next to his dad's grave.
they only bury it 6 inches down though.
Oh God.
Well, guys, we got there. We got to the grossest joke we've ever had on a podcast. We got there. We made it.
That's the kind of results you can expect here at the Blake house. Don't forget to go put flowers on Dad's grave, and don't forget to put smaller flowers on Dad's dick's grave.
It just it reminds me of this pickup line Doug Benson used in a special one time, which is just, "Hi, my dick died. Can I bury it in your ass?"
Oh God.
Okay, moving on. In 2006, she pulls his dad's medical files, which, like HIPAA, because she's not treating his dad.
He's dead.
Yeah, I guess he's
Holy shit! Mikey is a mental health professional.
I mean, that does
to a dark
impact
place.
it, but usually you would have to have like
Next of kin or whoever has power of attorney.
release information. Yeah, you'd have to have like a release of information. Anyway, so she pulls his father's file and realizes that his dad is basically dying today in his time. And her attending, like her boss, is the one who had to call. And so she leaves. She has an emergency. She leaves for the day. And she basically is like, I wish I could somehow be there with you on this difficult day, but I think I do have something for you. She sends him a copy of his dad's memoirs, basically, which has been published in her time and not in his.
Yeah.
And so he reads the memoirs. It gets super sad.
I was fully sobbing at this point.
I was sobbing because Keanu Reeves was crying. And I was like, how dare you hurt Keanu? There's a picture of him and his dad at the lake house. And it calls it their project, which is very like, ooh.
Yeah. It's very, very sweet. It's a little too late, I think.
Well, yeah, because he's dead. So, yeah. So they're talking back and forth again, and they're planning to meet in person 2 years from tomorrow. And he goes and makes the reservations. She goes to the restaurant. The reservations are there. She sits at the table, and he never shows up.
And they just get her plastered on free champagne.
Yeah. And at this point in my notes, I just said, he's dead, ? And then I just have, wait, was he the guy?
Yep. This is the moment I was like, oh, he's the guy that died by the bus.
Right.
Yeah. I feel like they foreshadowed that pretty well. I don't feel like I'm a super sleuth figuring that out.
I don't know. But so she writes him a letter that's basically like, you blew me off of the ice capades. Bye.
Let me move on from you. I don't want to have this anymore.
Yeah, it's like, this
Fine.
isn't healthy. She takes a high road. She's like, I'm going to go emotionally manipulate my ex.
Yeah.
You know what hurts about that, Mikey? That's what she does.
Yeah.
Morgan deserves better.
He keeps writing her. She just never goes back to that mailbox to steal those people's mail. So she never gets it.
Dude, you see as he's like, he keeps putting mail in
just
the
piles
mailbox.
it up.
There's like a shitload of mail in there.
Yeah.
And then eventually that becomes the mail that's in the box at the top
Right.
in the attic that doesn't really exist that she referenced in her first letter to him.
Right, but she never opens that box.
No.
And I think he's hoping that she does, but she doesn't. So we cut to her in a crowded bar. Her phone rings. It's Morgan. They go to dinner. He actually got a job near her in Chicago.
Yeah.
And they walk back to her place. They stop in front of the tree outside her apartment and kiss in front of it. And I was just like, petty.
Yeah.
You petty bitch.
Yeah. And listen, someone who comes from a long line of petty, like myself, I found offense to this. I was like, that's low. That is low.
Yep.
Yeah, I wish they would just leave. Cage, because it's a tree.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
It cuts back to Keanu, who's just pining over her.
He's just walking through the forest, and Jack the dog runs off to just like, I've got more immortal things to do. Oh! And then he does not look for that dog.
No. I think he's like, oh, you know what? It's probably about time for him to go join Sandra Bullock's timeline.
But then, okay, so he packs up the lake house. He's got the stack of letters. He kisses them, puts them in the box, leave them in the attic.
Yeah.
We cut to Morgan in his office on the phone, and Alex parks outside.
Morgan's talking
He's
on
talking
the phone
to
to
Kate.
Sandy B. Yeah. And then he's
Yeah.
like, because the last time he saw Keanu Reeves, he was fully kissing his girlfriend. So he's like, hey, I got to
Right.
go. I'll talk to you later. I got to go.
Yep.
So he meets him outside, and then Keanu Reeves is like, take my lake house.
Yeah. You still want it? Here you go. Gives him the keys.
Because we all know Kate wants a piece of the Blake house.
And then the dog, Jack the dog, shows up.
Yeah.
Which, with Keanu Reeves, independent of Keanu Reeves, because I feel like Keanu Reeves didn't go look for him, but if he did, it'd be really weird for him to be like, here's the keys, the dog comes with it. But then, like, for the dog to just, like, show up, I mean, it's an immortal being.
At least.
It is the subtle paw guiding their lives.
Yes.
Thank you, Mikey.
So Keanu Reeves moves to the city with a bunch of drafting tables. And my favorite in this scene is as they're moving those drafting tables in, it's almost like they cut the scene too late because the brother, like, helps move the drafting tables in. And then he turns to Keanu Reeves and then, like, stares at him for a bit and then just shrugs, like, we're done, right? And then it cuts.
Is that lunch?
That's how younger brothers are when they help you move.
As someone who helped you move a few days ago, I feel attacked.
My shit is scratched.
Well, you got to stop sticking it in mailbox. Anyway.
Wait, does that mean your dick ages 2 years and then comes back?
No, I think your dick comes back. It's the younger dick. So, like, if you found a doctor willing to do an experimental procedure, you could send your younger dick 2 years into the future and get an extra 2 years of life on that dick.
I don't like it.
I watched this whole movie and never once thought about putting dicks in mailboxes.
Yeah, Todd, I didn't
But-
either. There's not even any sex in this movie at all.
I know.
There could have
I'm
been.
angry.
Yeah, thank you, Paige, for being on my side. Thank you. Paige is dick in the mailbox. You heard it here.
No. I'm pro dick in Sandra Bullock's box. It has nothing to do with the mailbox.
Well, how do you
God.
do that if not sending it through the mail at this point?
You just have to drop a condom in the mailbox too.
Oh my God, no! All right, let's just move on. Again, this is too much. This is too much for the Blake house.
You're not the king of the Blake house.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I am the Blake.
No, you're not.
We three together are the Blake.
So his brother notices that he keeps drawing blueprints for the lake house. And he's like, why do you keep tweaking it? Why do you keep messing with it? And he says, because it's hers, meaning Kate. And he says, are you still writing with her? And he says, no, she asked me not to. And his brother's like, you need a real woman. And Keanu Reeves is like, she was real to me.
She also is real and does exist in this timeline that he is living in. He is just giving her space, which I get. She asked for it. He's obliging her wishes. I'm not saying that that's dumb or anything, but she exists.
Yeah.
She is real.
Anyway, we cut to Sandy B's apartment where she's watching a romantic movie. And Morgan, who is working in the next room, asks her to turn it down. She turns it off. She walks through her bedroom. And a floorboard comes loose. So she like stomps on it until...
You say it comes loose, it creaks, and then she stomps on it until it breaks.
Yes.
As you do.
As you do. And she finds her copy of Persuasion with a rose pressed inside it and a quote circled in the floor, which means that he like snuck onto that construction site.
Yeah.
Because he knew what apartment she had and hid it.
Which we don't see him doing, but I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, why else would it be there?
We cut to a New Year's party. He's all sad, but it's New Year's 2006. And we cut over to Valentine's Day, where Morgan and Sandy B are touring like an old dilapidated building that they want to convert into a house with a solarium and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Because they can't stay in the apartment, got to move longer. And so they have hired a new firm because they were cheaper. And we find out that they have hired Visionary Vanguard Associates. And she gives him a card for Valentine's Day. He didn't get her anything.
Yeah, I do think, and you see this shift when she's watching the romantic movie and he's working, that he is over their relationship. Like, he's fully checked out. And clearly he is when he doesn't get her a gift for Valentine's Day. But, I mean, she is clearly not in love with him, really. She is in love with Keanu Reeves. So I just feel like Morgan's not a bad guy. He's not a great guy. They're just not right for each other.
Yeah.
He needs to go learn how to play the Morgan organ.
He needs to bona Mona.
So we cut to Keanu Reeves and his brother are talking. His brother's taking Vanessa, who is their co-worker, I believe, because we see her in the future as well, out for Valentine's Day. And Keanu Reeves is like, what day is it? What year? And it's February 14th.
It's like Valentine's Day, too, so it's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
But so he drives to the lake house, I think because he's like, or no, he goes into his pile of letters.
Yeah.
Because I think he's like, I remember, like, this was the day that that thing happened to her. We cut to the future, and this is where they're sitting in the meeting. She sees the picture he drew of the lake house. She asks about it. She says that she knew him and asks how she can get in touch with him, which, like, she's in love with him. So, like, Morgan should have been like, you mean the guy that you cheated on me with?
Yeah, I mean, he should say that, but he's fully checked out of this relationship, too.
Yeah, so his brother's like, unfortunately, he died in an accident 2 years ago today. And Sandy B puts two and two together and is like, he's the guy who got hit by the bus.
Yeah.
And so she hauls ass to the lake house, writes to him and puts it in the mailbox. And he is checking letters for the time. And basically she says in her letter, I know why you didn't show up that night, because it was you the day that the accident happened. Please don't go. Just wait. Don't look for me or try to find me. If you still care for me, wait for me, wait with me, wait 2 years and come to the lake house. I'm here.
Yeah.
So we cut to 2006. He sees her. He did get the message because the flag on the mailbox goes down. The accident doesn't happen. Back at the lake house, a car approaches and they have like the slowest walk ever.
Because he parks down the street.
I know.
He needs to pull into the driveway, you monster.
Yep. And she basically says, you waited. And then they just like kiss a bunch and then they go inside the lake house.
It's a bunch of weird like peck kisses though. Like they aren't like make out
They're
kisses.
like smashing their faces together.
Yeah.
It's real strange.
It's like a high school play kiss.
Yeah, he's supposed to go 90 years and she's supposed to go 10 years.
What if we just tried this through the mailbox?
Yeah. It also just occurred to me that they could have like held hands in the mailbox and I didn't have to jump to like put your dick in it. But like oh man. I really hope my mom doesn't listen to this episode. Mom, I'm so sorry. I am so sorry.
They go inside the lake house. And
that's the
movie.
Here's why I hate the end. It shows him showing up the day the accident happens and just not stepping into the street where he gets killed. If you knew there was any chance that you would be involved in an accident if you went there, why would you go?
Yeah. That, and I don't know why he didn't just wait till the next day.
Yeah, that was my next point. Like, she could have just said, hey, come back the next day. You know where I live. At this point, we have already started corresponding. Like, come and explain to me. Like, I'll get it. Like, let's do this.
If the letter saves his life, he could have showed up any time during their whole experience.
Yeah, that's also true. Oh, yeah, he wouldn't have missed dinner, Mikey.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what I'm
that's
talking
true.
about.
He would have been there for dinner.
He'd have been like, man, I got a crazy story to tell you in like 7 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, okay. Having seen this movie, having talked about the movie, how do you guys feel about the movie?
Instant classic.
This movie is a hot ass mess. This movie's insane.
Yeah.
It has an immortal dog and time travel
At
at least.
The dog wasn't in the final scene, and I hated that.
Oh, we needed Jack in that scene.
Yeah, what happens to that dog?
Jack is moving on to go help another couple find love.
Through time.
Help another couple negotiate a dick through a mailbox.
At the Blake House. Dick in a mailbox would happen at a place called Blake House. I'm just going to say that. We all know it's true. We're going to move on.
Dick in a mailbox sounds like an English
Like an English breakfast? Yeah. Yeah, can I have a blood sausage and a dick in a mailbox?
Yeah.
I do hate a lot of this movie, but there are like themes in this movie I really love. Like the sappy romantic person inside me loves what they were trying to do, but they failed so hardcore it's almost unwatchable, and then it gets so bad that it becomes very watchable. If that makes sense. So I enjoyed watching this movie. I enjoyed very much having this conversation with you guys. So like, I feel like people should watch this movie and then make fun of it with their friends.
I hated it when I watched it in college.
Yeah.
And I wanted to talk about how much I hated it.
Yeah.
And you guys have let me do this. I mean, I think this movie is objectively terrible.
Yeah. Agree.
It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
Oh.
All right, are you ready for some fun facts?
Yeah, hit us with some fun facts, Paige.
So the actual house did not exist. It was built completely for the movie and then taken down.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, you can still see it on Google Earth. The coordinates are 41.7142, and then the other coordinates are -87.8901. But you have to look at it on April 29th, 2005, and you'll be able to see the house
Okay.
if you want to.
Nice.
So the name of the exclusive restaurant in the film, the one where they have to get reservations, is Il Mare, basically meaning the sea.
Yeah.
But that's also the name of the house and the international title of the Korean film on which this movie is based. So this was based on another movie.
Okay, that's starting to make sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Sandra Bullock named the dog Jack after Keanu Reeves' character in Speed.
Oh my God! The dog's name was Jackie, but they call it Jack the entire time. I think she calls it Jackie once to like establish that it's a female. And then, come on, Jack.
Yep.
I love that. That's awesome.
The lake house itself measures 2,000 square feet, and it sat on top of steel beams 10 feet above the waterline. It used 35 tons of steel.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. It required nearly 100 carpenters, welders, and painters to build it and then later dismantle it. Sandra Bullock actually revealed in an interview much later that the house had running water but had no toilets.
That's funny.
It was built on Maple Lake, which is a small and allegedly haunted fishing lake in Willow Springs, Illinois. Yeah.
Wow. So they actually filmed this close to Chicago then, if it's on the lake.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
It was on location. Mm-hmm.
Nice.
This was the first movie to be released simultaneously on DVD, HD, DVD, and Blu-ray. This is one of the only ones that you could get on all of them.
Wow.
The vehicles that they drive are also 2 years apart. So Alex's pickup truck is a 1966 Chevy, and Kate's Mustang is a 1968.
That's wild. All right, cool.
They are so rich.
I know. Well, I mean, she's a doctor. He's the son of a famous architect and a successful architect himself. I get it.
Yep. This is Keanu Reeves' third film at the time, now his fourth, involving time travel, The first two, of course, being Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure
Right.
and Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, and then the fourth being the third Bill and Ted film. The construction site on which he works in the movie is a real construction site. It was owned by Pulte Homes and is now the Madison Park community in Aurora, Illinois.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. I actually wondered that because it does look like a real construction site. Like when we were coming to visit our house, because they'll let they'll let the owners come and like see the progress and stuff. It looked just like that when we were like walking in this neighborhood that was just all the houses were being built, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That's wild.
Now, Keanu Reeves was not the first choice. Do you know who was?
Really?
No, who was it?
Do you want to guess?
Is it Blake?
Who's Blake?
Blake Lively for the Sandra Bullock character.
No, it was not.
Damn it.
Nope.
I know it wasn't a famous Todd.
It was not a famous Todd. It was John Cusack.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
He declined after reading the script.
That also makes sense.
So this is actually so Sandra Bullock and Keanu Reeves were in Speed together.
Yeah.
And that they didn't do any other movies together until this movie.
Nice.
So for almost, it's like not quite 20 years between. The tree in the middle of the lake house at the beginning of the movie is leafless. We only see branches. But when she looks back on the house one last time, it looks like it's covered in red fall foliage. So yes, you would have to rake your living room.
Yeah.
I'll end on this one.
Okay.
Why weird things might happen around this lake house. The location of the lake house on Maple Lake is located in a forest preserve and is approximately 3/5 of a mile away from the world's first nuclear reactor, CP1, which was constructed during World War II's Manhattan Project in this forest preserve. So,
okay,
it's very possible that this is all a powerful hallucination because of radiation, or that they have ripped the space-time continuum.
Well, they've definitely ripped it.
Yep, and those are our fun facts.
Well, thank you for those
thank you for your
amazing fun facts. So let's talk box office. So what do you think the budget for The Lake House was in 2006?
I remember this being an expensive movie.
Okay.
And that was part of the critique.
Keanu Reeves and Sandy B are big names even in this time. So, like, I could see that. But what do you guys think it is?
I'm going to say 40.
Okay.
I want to say 32.
All right. Paige is not only closest, she's also exact. So it is 40 million, which means she wins both showcase showdowns. I think that's 2 episodes back to back you've been exact.
Yes, I'm not good at budget.
One on Horror Virgin, one on this. Yeah, well done, Paige. So anyway, it premiered June 16th, 2006. It was 4th the weekend it premiered. It got beat by Cars, the very first one. Nacho Libre was second that week. The Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift, which I believe, Mikey, is your favorite.
Oh, the one that everyone pretends doesn't exist.
That is my favorite.
That's your favorite Fast and Furious movie?
That is one of my favorite Mikey facts, is that he hardcore stands for Tokyo Drift.
No, you guys understand that Tokyo Drift is what starts the expanded Fast and the Furious universe.
That is true, because that's where they meet that other guy.
Right, and which that Tokyo Drift takes place after Fast and the Furious 6.
Yes.
In the timeline.
Yes. Now, I will say I only like Fast and Furious 5 on.
Most people do. That's when they get good.
Yeah, that is when
and
they
by
get
good, I mean not great, but explosions.
That's when they become Avengers movies.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I also like a good Too Fast, Too Furious.
Okay, can I just say this? We're going to have to find some way to do the new one. Anyway.
We can't just skip to that. We have to do all 9 of them.
Buckle up your Fast and Furious belts. We're going to all of them. Anyway, so holy shit, they're going to space. Guys, they're going to fucking space.
I know.
All right, whatever.
And the guy writing it called our bluff because he was like, yeah, maybe they'll go to fucking space, and then lo and be fucking
I do remember we were talking about that.
The Patreonicals are stupid, but that's basically what they do with those cast. That's basically what they do with the cast of the Fast and the Furious.
All right. That's fair, Mikey. And listen, I am apologizing right now publicly for not recognizing your genius earlier on.
I'm not apologizing.
You're like, there's a submarine. Oh, a submarine, Todd. That's stupid.
Oh,
all right,
man.
That's fair.
You know what else has a submarine?
Fast and Furious 8.
Yeah.
All right. We gotta talk about this movie. Okay, so The Lake House was number 4 that week. Number 5 was The Breakup. So what do you think it made, The Lake House, that is, in its first week out domestically? First weekend out domestically.
I'm going to say 15.
7.
All right, Paige is closer, but not exact this time. It was $13.6 million, so it did pretty well. It got pretty much crushed by Cars and Nacho Libre. They were both
Well,
Yeah.
around 30 million. Fast and the Furious was at 23 million, and then it was 13. So I think it's a good showing for a romantic movie in that time period. So what do you think it made in its total domestic box office in 2006?
I will say that word got out about this movie being batshit insane. And so even when it was out in theaters, people were like, this movie is dog turds. And so I'm going to say
Immortal dog turds, but
immortal dog turds.
at least.
At least, I'm going to say they made their budget back, but only just barely. I'm going to say 50.
All right, Mikey, what do you think?
38.
So Paige is closer again at $52.3 million. Now, it went on to make another $62.5 million internationally.
No.
That's
did
offensive.
very well internationally. So that is a combined worldwide box office of $114.8 million, and then it made another almost $40 million in domestic DVD sales.
That's nuts.
$39.9 million, guys, in just domestic
Oh, my
DVD sales.
goodness.
So it did very, very well. I'm sure they made plenty of money on this movie.
Yeah.
But that is your box office for The Lake House.
Do you guys think they're still together?
Yeah.
I do. I think they're still together because they took a long time to get to know each other before they ever met and had a sort of physical relationship. So they had like a relationship before they got into like a physical relationship. But I do feel like anytime Keanu Reeves goes to the mailbox, Sandy's looking out the window.
For herself.
She's like, is he fucking that mailbox?
Oh man, I like to think that they are together, and every year on their anniversary, they leave cards for each other in the mailbox.
Oh, and they get them 2 years later?
Yeah,
Oh.
they're like, wasn't that a good year?
I do too. I think they're still together. That's
Nice. So this week, Mikey, you made us watch The Lake House. Next week, I am making you guys watch a movie that I went and saw with my good friend Chris opening night. And Mikey, it rhymes with a joke you made earlier today. Rock of Ages.
No.
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, fine.
Yeah. It's
Is it
terrible.
romantic? Is it a romantic movie?
It is, but it is terrible.
There's actually quite a few romances going on in this movie. It is terrible. I love all the music in it, but it's not great. And I love it. If you wanted to see Tom Cruise sing into someone's vagina, you're going to see that in Rock of Ages.
What?
Yeah.
I'm upset already. I can't wait.
I am not saying it's a good movie. I think it'll be a very funny episode, but mainly because Mikey's going to hate it and it's going to be fun.
I might also dislike it.
You will and should. And honestly, and should.
Great.
But I do think you and I will end up singing the whole episode.
I think that's what I hate the most.
Well, then you're going to hate the episode on.
I have a good voice. So does Todd.
Yeah, eat a dick. So your homework next
From a
week.
mailbox.
No.
Your homework next week is to listen to every hit that you ever loved from the 80s and then watch it sung again in Rock of Ages.
Badly.
Yeah, by like Tom Cruise as Stacey Jacks. So, Mikey, do you have a review for us to read?
I do.
Nice. Well, who's it going to be this week?
It's a short review.
Oh, okay.
Do the fourth kind. Do the fourth kind.
This one's from The Sweet One.
Oh.
They say, such a fun show. All they say is, I've got my wine ready for next week. 5 stars.
I don't know if that is a positive review or a cry for help, but The Sweet One, thank you so much for that awesome 5-star review. And if you guys want to have your review run on the podcast, leave us a 5-star review. So, yeah, guys, if you like this power throuple that we have here on this podcast, make sure to check out our other podcast, The Horror Virgin. And that is the only other podcast that Mikey and I are on, but Paige gets around, and she is on 2 other podcasts, Black Card Rehab and Cult Podcast. So guys, definitely check out those because they're amazing. If you want to follow us on social, we are at Romancing the Pod Show
Yes.
on Instagram, and we are at something else on Twitter who I just have never taken the time to learn it.
It's just Romancing Pod Show because they have a character limit and it's show SHO like Showtime.
So guys, check that out as well. And if you want to follow us all individually, Paige is at Rampage Wesley everywhere, including TikTok. except for Twitter, where she is at Paige Wesley. Mikey is at mrandolph24, and I am at Todd J. Awesome everywhere. And guys, we got a P.O. box. So if you want to send us some love letters or whatever you might send to a P.O. box, it's actually not a P.O. box. It's like a regular street address. It's pretty awesome. It's 6688 Nolensville Road, number 108-34, Brentwood, Tennessee 37027. So send us some stuff.
Yeah.
That's going to be it for us, you guys. I'm Paige.
Now, Mikey.
And I'm Todd.
And you complete us.
To completion.
Toodle pip.
You're my heroine now.
Oh.
What? You do the meth. Bye.
Bye.
Blake House nerds. All right, guys. That was good.